Hello YouTube once again. Welcome, Alfred here for Wakati Avenue, and I really hope you guys been well. Well, I'm welcome you back once again to another Wakati Avenue podcast right here. And today what I really want to talk about is a very important topic, and this goes mostly to us men, and it says that you should really not dwell in fantasies. In fact, we men should not be people who are always in fantasy or are always fantasizing. Let's leave all that fantasizing to women. Women are the ones in society that are allowed to live in fantasies simply because they can have someone save them. You know, a better male can come and save them. You know, the government can come and save them. They're allowed, the family is allowed to come and save them once they're not contributing or doing anything of value into the society. Because most of the time what they'll be doing is that they'll be fantasizing about a certain situation, or thinking that they can get to a certain situation without a real plan. Because planning means that you have to put things in order, and you have to really put things that are concrete and in reality, that they should be based on reality, and most women are incapable of doing that. But for us men, I've seen, especially for my generation, a lot of us are doing the same thing. That's because I guess I'm going to make excuses here, bad parenting, society at large, the way we've been programmed, you know, our habits, we haven't been disciplined enough, but at the same time, there's not much of an excuse, especially when you are above or maybe in your 20s and above that. There's really no excuse to be dwelling in such fantasies of, for example, being a millionaire. You want to be a millionaire, but you really don't have a plan or a strategy planned out. You know, you want to be a business person or a businessman, but you are not taking any initiative or initiatives to really accomplish that. So all these become fantasies if you're not working on your plans, if you're not working on whatever purpose you want to fulfill. Then what you're doing, you're dwelling on fantasies. It's really hard because we tend to think a lot, especially for me. I'm the type who usually overthink stuff. I overthink, and then I diverge into fantasizing. You know, that's what I used to do. But then if you're gonna plan things out, at least, and then make sure that you are going to work on them, then things then start gradually revealing to you, because it means that now you're forced to work on those things, right? Like I said, in contrast to that, to be the women who we should leave all that, the fantasies, to the women. Another thing that is connected to this fantasy thing is that a lot of us men start following women's fantasies, and this is sometimes where we really go wrong. We leave our purpose, we leave our goals to follow others' fantasies, other people's fantasies or goals, or especially women's fantasies. For example, if a woman really has more money than you, or is earning more money than you are, and then what you're doing, you are in a relationship with that woman, right? And you don't have the potential to get more money than her, and all you're doing is really living with her and living on her terms. Then, my friend, you're really living in a fantasy world. That's a fantasy world, because a woman will want that power. She won't give up that power of like controlling you, especially when she's earning more than you are. She just won't, especially women of our generation. Maybe a generation ago, our parents or something like that, probably, but most women these days are mostly educated. They have the money. Now if you're going to follow them and then think that You can maybe build something with her, especially when she's the owner. I mean, she's the earner, she's the higher earner. Then what you're doing, you're playing to her fantasies. The same thing goes if you think you should follow her terms when it comes to relationships, when it comes to love and all that. Nothing wrong with loving a woman and all that, but if the terms are on her terms, right, and you are compromising on your principles, then you should know that you're living in a fantasy, and that thing will not really come to fruition, right? So what I'm saying is that you should have your own principles that are really rooted in reality. This way you will not delve into fantasies, right? Which is something that I really recommend not to do. You know, there's a big difference between your fantasies and your imagination. Your imagination, right, is just you coming up with ideas, coming up with things that can help you solve problems, right? This is how Einstein came up with his theories. He used his imagination. He wasn't in a fantasy world. He used his imagination. We men are supposed to use our imagination. Now, my theory is that there's a thin line between imagination and fantasy. Sometimes we may cross that imagination line and then go into fantasy and get stuck there, which is something very it's very negative, because once we are stuck in our fantasies and then coming back into reality, then it becomes a bit hard, because we're now really out of tune with reality. But it can be done, because we have to imagine things. We have to try and solve things, and we can only solve things in our head. But as we solve things in our head, we imagine. We're supposed to imagine. You know, we men are visual people. We're visual human beings, so we have to imagine the problem before we solve it. You know, this is how we work. While doing, we're imagining. We're doing while we're thinking. Okay, we're thinking. Even if you're just doing something, you're still thinking, and you're using your imagination or your brain to solve that problem. Excuse me. But at the same time, make sure you don't fantasize about solving a problem. Do it. Use the imagination that you have to solve these different problems that you have. Like I said, make sure that you're not now dwelling on those fantasies, and be rooted on reality. Reality is the only place a man is supposed to be mostly be. Reality means that you are aware, you are self-aware, you have self-knowledge, you know your environment well, and you know what's supposed to be done and what's supposed not to be done. But in contrast to that, if you are in your fantasies, you're thinking, your thoughts are somewhere else. More like you're daydreaming. You know, when we were kids, they used to tell us we were daydreaming. You know, you're daydreaming. That's what you're doing. When you're in fantasy, when you're in a fantasy world, you're daydreaming. This is what happens to a lot of women. They usually daydream, you know, because they're unable to solve the problems that come their way. And the only way they can do this is if someone else tries and tell them the truth about the fact that they're fantasizing, they have to come back to reality. But then again, it becomes an issue of ego. You know, if you let your ego not allow you to listen, right, not allow you to take sage advice from people who are willing to help you, people who seem to who are really concerned and have the experience, if your ego doesn't allow you, because that battle between you and your ego, that's with you, right? Someone may help you, but if you let your ego come between you two, then that person, no matter what they do, to be in vain, because that battle will now be your own battle that you have to fight, because you and your ego are now at war or in a battle of some sort. And then the ego probably does not want you to come out of that fantasy world. It's a coping mechanism for us humans. You know, life is harsh, especially for men, and these days also for women, because women now want to compete with men. They also want to take those hard jobs. They want to prove themselves. They need that validation. So life is quite harsh in reality. Reality is very harsh, and really no one wants to really stay in a place of constant reality. And that's why I myself usually unwind. I go out, I try and talk to people just to wind up and then not really dwell too much on reality. Not that I'm running away from it, but at times you really need to refresh your mind, get new perspectives from different people, so that you can go back to reality with a refreshed mind. Some people cope by drinking, some smoke, whether it's marijuana or whatever, some watch movies, some listen to music. I do a lot of listening to music. I contemplate, I read a lot of books, just to get my mind off certain stuff, so that when I come back to tackling these things, I come with a fresh mind. And that's the whole purpose of coming out of your reality, probably going to fantasy, probably going to imagination. That's the whole purpose, so that you take a break from the world. Sometimes the world becomes just way too hectic, chaotic. So you need a break from it. Things are just chaos. You probably have a family, and your family is your kids are always in trouble. Your wife is probably always winding you up. Your girlfriend is nagging you. So you need to escape that. Some will just take a long walk, think things through, and then come back. They already got the problem solved, right? But the problem comes when you now are constantly running away from these problems, constantly running away from reality. That's when the real problem starts, because now you're not solving anything. And as a man, especially, I'm talking to the men here, right? I know I was talking about a women, but that was just their part. But I'm really talking to the men out there. To us, we need to solve those problems that comes before us. No matter what, we have to face them. And that's how our lives are built. We're built to solve problems. We're built to really solve reality, to dwell on reality and then stand by what we're creating, because the real world is created in reality. Our world is created in reality. What is real, what is in before you, not what is in your imagination, not what is in your fantasies. Once you start building your life, that's when you realize that you are able to really create the life that you want, and not dwell in fantasies that only keep you in the same place every single day. Don't worry, guys. I'm also I assure you, I'm also fighting this. It's reality thing. Everyone is a lot of people are fighting this. We all want that reality. We all want to build a life that's better. We all want a peaceful life, a non-chaotic life where we are always mostly happy. But then again, we have to dwell in reality, because we can't be constantly happy. Things won't constantly go our way. So as men, when things are not going our way, we need to solve them. Leave the fantasies to most women, because there's always chances for them to be able to solve their problems for them. I mean, there are people who are out there, the organizations, the government is on their side. But for us men, not really. It's gonna be that way forever. There's no time in life that men will have time to breathe. There's no time in life where men's rights will be really, really heard. Thinking that men's rights, opening organizations such as Men's Right and fighting for rights, that's just another fantasy. The thing is, us men should take responsibility for our lives first. Make sure that we dwell in reality. Then we can now start helping other men who are in the same predicament, right? We can start helping and mentoring young boys, the youth out there. and so that they are able to like really create their own lives in reality. Because also the boys and the young men out there are probably stuck in a fantasy world too, because not many have mentors, not many have fathers that can lead them into proper manhood. That's what I've seen. They don't have proper advice that can give them, people who can give them that proper advice to do what they're passionate about, what they want to do. So it's up to us men to be reality first, and then help other men do the same. It's what I'm trying to do here, and with these videos here, we dwell and then we create that life that we want. So we inspire, at the end we inspire and motivate people to do the same, but it should be grounded in reality, no fantasies. Truth will always show, truth will always lead you towards what you want. If you guys want to listen to lies, it's really up to you. There are sweet lies out there, but always the truth is very sour. The truth is bitter. So it's up to you what you want to listen to. You can dwell in fantasies while listening to sweet lies, sweet things out there, fantastic things out there. Dreamland is waiting for you. But if you want a real hard truth, it's out there. Seek the knowledge. Listen to positive people. Listen to the red pill. Listen to movements that are really, really making men better, so that you yourself are better. Anyway, guys, I'm hoping that was something that really helpful. This has been offered for Wakati Avenue, and I'd like to say thank you. More knowledge to you guys, and peace.